The king has won. Mikey has been vanquished, and I, alone, am now the sole owner of BooTv. Who the fuck are you guys?
Well, I thought you knew.
Explain yourself. Right now. I'm gonna need some beer. I'm gonna need beer.
Hey, if you got another one, I'll take one of those.
Both of them are going in here, buddy. Okay, I'm very protective over this stuff.
Okay, you see, I think sharing is caring, you know?
Sharing is for fucking pussies. Isn't it? So who are you guys?
Thought we were the new cast and crew.
Explain your names.
I'm Christian.
I don't like Christians.
I'm not Christian by any means. That's just my name.
We should change that.
Far from it.
Me, I'm Harley.
And you guys are the new
Cast and crew.
New members of the Boo Crew.
Woo! Woo!
So we're celebrating the death of Mikey.
Yes.
Yes.
Even though he hasn't actually died, don't come after me, police. And we're basically going to be doing a kind of like a retread of what we've done before. Our previous first episode was getting to know us, and now we're going to do getting to know you. So, first off, you guys have given your names. Why don't we start off with these people? Some of them might already know my history. I'll go over mine briefly later. But, how'd you guys start off in the haunt world? How long have you been in it? Give you a story.
Well, I started when I was 16. My dad got me into the haunt industry starting out at Asylum, Haunted Scream Park.
You also went through my home.
I did. There was a stretch a couple years ago where I was working volunteer at Haunted Hotel.
No, I'm talking about the other home. When
Oh,
you
yeah.
were a little boy.
I was about 12 or 13. My dad was still working at came through for my birthday, actually. And that was kind of what started it all as well.
Also, before you get too far into this, I'm going to bleep that later. We don't say name on here. Continue.
While I was there for my first walkthrough of going through a haunted house ever, I ended up meeting John and Aiden.
I love them.
Yes.
Aiden was Lillian, and she helped me get over my fear of all the crap that was going on outside because people were instigating Tad.
That was the night that he had his car covered in Post-it notes, wasn't it?
I don't know. He was Pongo, and he was out in the line. It might have been the night he had his car covered in Post-it notes. But like, Tad freaked me the hell out that first time, and I was like,
a far-fetched feat though.
I'm like, I don't like you. Well, you know, then met Tad later on when I started volunteering at hotel, and I was like, I think I know you. I was like, were you Pongo? And he was like, yeah. It's like, you creeped me the fuck out when I met you the first time. But, you know, after that, my first haunt that I started at was Asylum. Mm-hmm. Asylum's been my home ever since. I've been haunting for the past 5 years. We took a year off.
Are you including the 1 year that you took off in that 5, or are you...
I'm excluding it, because if I included it, that would be 6.
Okay.
Excluding the year that we took off, 5 total.
Okay.
Going into 6th season this upcoming year.
Alright. How about you? Did you even say your name yet?
I did say my name.
I guess the beer's getting there too fast.
It's
Hold
already
on.
you.
Hold on, you need to sit it down.
It is.
Okay.
It is very strong.
Well, maybe you should pass it over here.
So here's the thing. When we did season 1, I was just guzzling like Budweiser and shit like that. I've upgraded. I'm classier now. I've got Stone now.
Yes.
The good stuff.
Classy. So it's stronger. It hits me harder. My bad. Continue.
My very first walkthrough was your first home as well. I was 7. And I went through, because my sister is very big on haunted houses, but she likes to be scared, but she's very scared very easily. She's one of those that will put her face in somebody's back, but she wants to go through. So she's one to mess with very well. I was 7, and we had one of those old ambands. My stepdad did, and the chainsaw guy outside decided that he was going to come in the back door.
If I remember correctly, we figured out that was probably Charlie, or did we?
It was
I think it was
bigger than Charlie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So it was probably whoever was after Charlie.
Before Charlie, maybe.
Maybe.
He
But
was
I
a
think
really
Charlie
big
was
guy.
there from the beginning. Don't
Of course,
quote
I
me
was
on that.
7, so
Don't know.
But I think Charlie was the first one. Again, don't quote me. And
Right.
there might have been one person after him, and then there was Russ.
I mean,
Yes.
there's only one way to find out, and that's to talk to Charlie.
Get on here, boy.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Bring on that interview, Charlie.
Continue.
So he decided to come, because I was the last one out, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to come in the back door. Well, I ran up to the front door, and he ran around to the front door. And it had the sliding windows in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got by the window, and he stuck the chainsaw inside next to my head, and I went under the table. So about 15 minutes goes past. My sister's already gone in with my dad and my brothers. And I decided that I was going to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to go through. And we get about halfway up to where we're supposed to be, and he comes at me again. And he gets about, I don't know, maybe 5 feet from me, and I screamed at him, "No!" And he kind of stopped and was like,
What?
"What?" I went, "No!" And he kind of dropped his head and walked away. So that was my first experience at a haunted house.
It's kind of like Monster Be Good.
Yeah, exactly. So I got into the haunt industry, I was about 8, so the next year. My brother decided, because we have kind of a home haunt down towards my mom's house, and he volunteered. He took me with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with it then, and I have done it for 17 years non-consecutively.
Consecutively, though, if you put that all together, how many years is it?
Oh. Let's see.
I think we
Quick math.
I think if I remember correctly, non-consecutively, your years all put together, excluding the ones you took off, I think you match me.
Probably.
And I just had my 10th year. I think. If I remember correctly, because we've had this discussion
Yes.
before.
We did.
You might have like 1 or 2 years on me, but I think you were close to where I was.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything else you want to add?
Asylum Haunted Scream Park is where I'm at now.
Is that where you started?
It is not where I started.
You don't want to say where you started, though, I'm
No.
assuming. Was Asylum the second place you went to?
No. I've been at 3 or 4 of them.
Mhm.
Asylum is where I call home now.
Okay, but you don't want to say any of the others?
Nope.
Don't blame you.
Nope.
Don't blame you.
Most of them are home haunts, you know. I've volunteered at Hetzer's Haunted House a year, and that was pretty interesting to help build and
Okay.
watch everything build from the ground up.
I've always said one of my prized memories from a haunting is when I worked the elementary school haunted house.
Yes.
Because
that
I got to watch like 8-year-old children loving what I do and probably grow up to do it. I just haven't met them yet.
Right.
Because this was years ago. This was probably like 5 years ago. They're old enough. Some of them are old enough to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And like I remember when I first got there, they were all just kind of jerks to me, and I was like, "Screw these kids! I'm gonna fuck these
Stupid kids.
And then like by the end of the night, they were like, "Dr. Marionette, I love you." And I'm just like, "I love these children. I want a baby now." But was that all you wanted to give? Or
Yes.
Okay. I'll go over my history real fast, except I'm going to just kind of gloss over what I've already been over in Season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some updates, as you can see. So, started off as a yard haunter, just on Halloween. I would open up my yard, scare kids. Whatever candy was left at the end of the night was mine. So I scared the shit out of these kids. Made sure that candy stayed
Right?
home. I got too good at it, and my mom got mad and said, "Go work for a place you're supposed to do that kind of stuff." And I was like, "Okay, you're fucking crazy, Mom." But I did. I went to the place that shall not be named, and I was there for 5 years. I established a couple of characters that I still play on occasion.
Dr. Marionette.
Dr. Marionette, Berserker, Jack, the bunny.
Jack's my favorite.
You
And
still gotta get the Jack and Bunny to meet.
and then my last year, Lucian Tones. had quit, and I took over his position as introduction. I had already trained to do his position the year before, but I took over my last year doing introduction as Dr. Marionette. At the end of that year, it was clear that I shouldn't be there anymore, and I left. And I went to a couple of different places to try them out during that year.
Right.
The owner of the place would kill me if he knew that I did that, but I don't care anymore. But
you're away from that.
yeah. So I was trying out different places, and I tried out 7th Street, rest in peace. I tried out Haunted Hotel, and I fell in love. And the next year I was at Haunted Hotel, and I was like, fantastic, I'm going to get to do my roots again. I work a room, not have to do fucking intro anymore.
That was quickly...
That was nipped in the bud very quickly.
Yes.
And then Kay asked me to do intro, and I was like, okay. She asked me to create a figurehead character. I created Thomas Gribbins, the manager of the Haunted Hotel. And he eventually evolved to become the owner of the Haunted Hotel. I have no idea what they've done with the storyline since. I wrote the storyline up until when I left, and then from that point on, they either continued it or write it out. I think they wrote me out.
I don't know.
But spoiler alert, because I've already said that they wrote me out, I'm not there anymore.
Obviously.
So all through season 1, we were talking about how I was the figurehead of Haunted Hotel, and honestly, I think we used that as kind of a draw to try to get people to watch. That don't exist no more.
Yeah.
So
It's gone.
when it became clear that I needed to leave Haunted Hotel, and I would be 100% honest here, this was a very, very, very somber moment for me. Hotel's home. I said it to thousands of people a night.
Still my favorite line.
It is.
And it still makes me cry.
I love the speech.
Hotel was home. Just something happened, and I had to go. And I didn't want to. Just making that clear. Didn't want to leave.
He did not.
I had to.
Hotel's a wonderful place.
It is a wonderful place. He just... things...
And I have drunkenly admitted to certain people...
Yes, you have.
the conditions in which I would return. People know. I'm not saying it here.
Right.
I won't.
No.
I'm not going to bring out that kind of press. But people know that, yes, I would return. But for the time being, Rich Teach Out has, like, my eternal gratitude. Because I was a homeless haunter twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you were.
And Rich took me in. And he put me in a position that I wanted. I asked for it, but he put me in a position that he would only trust to, from my understanding, his senior cast.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Senior cast only.
And he trusted me to do that with me only knowing him very little. So I'm very grateful to Rich. It would honestly, at this point, if I ever did return to Hotel, it would probably tear me apart again because I'd have to leave Rich in Asylum behind. And for people that don't know, I started doing line acting. So before, when I would always complain about I talk and I talk and I talk and I talk, I run now.
You're learning how to slide on your
Yes.
knees now.
I'm learning to become a slider. I haven't actually started that yet. Me and Lassiter are going to be doing that probably. We're going to start in the new year. So if you see me on the show in a cast, you understand what happened.
Yeah, it might happen. And fair warning for all of you viewers out there.
But I've been running, and I created a brand new character that quickly became one of, like, my core characters, I think. Thomas Gribbins, I think, will always be my number one.
Yes.
Always.
But the character's name is Me, so if people are going to get confused. But I think Me he's up there.
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love him.
He's very good.
Probably one of your top 5.
He's top 3.
Top
yes.
3? Ooh.
It's Gribbins. This is not in order. It's Gribbins, Dr. Marionette, and Me. And ironically, all of them were made at a different haunt.
Yes, they were. Marionette was at the place that shall not be named. Gribbins was Hotel, and then Me was for Asylum.
Yep.
Yes.
So ironically, my top 3 are all from 3 different haunted houses.
I mean,
That's not a bad thing.
that's not horrible.
No,
And the progression that Marionette has gotten over the
Yes.
years with
he's gotten
developing-
a lot of.
He's gotten a major makeover in the past couple of years.
Guys, this is turning into a, like, stroke Matt's ego phase.
Well, mean, we gotta be honest here. Marionette has evolved quite a lot since he was first made.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't even know Marionette's like first edition because I'm embarrassed by it.
You gotta start somewhere.
I mean, everyone starts with one character.
I knew he was gonna be robotic.
Right.
And I like Star Wars.
I mean, a lot of people love Star Wars.
So I basically played Marionette kind of like C-3PO. And everyone thought I was homosexual.
Well, I mean, I've had people question my sexuality in the haunt industry as well, so...
I think that's a normal thing.
I think that's just a given.
It's an added thing when you're C-3PO.
Yeah.
And eventually, I've upgraded him... so he went from being C-3PO to kind of like... I just moved like a normal person as him. But in this past year, and you guys haven't gotten a chance to see this, I have changed the way he moves again. Ooh. So instead of him moving just like a normal person, it's more along the lines of he'll snap in place and kind of...
Somewhere like a robotic toy.
Yeah, kind of like an animatronic. So he'll kind of stop and shake wherever he's going to go. Fantastic. So if I'm looking somewhere else and somebody calls my name, it would be...
Ooh, I like it.
I know we caught a glimpse of it when you brought him out for one of the nights during this past season.
Mm-hmm. And scared the ever-loving shit out of Ollie.
I scared the whole cast. Nobody knew it was me. Nobody knew that it was me because I hid in a trailer.
Well, I mean, the only people that knew it was you was the people that knew what was going to happen.
I told you and Ian.
Well, I told her because I was like, you have to be paying attention for this to happen.
So... I hid in a trailer behind our makeup area and everything like that because there was one person that I wanted to surprise, and I didn't anticipate that I was going to end up surprising the whole cast.
So he ended up hiding in the old
costume
pod. It's one of those big shipping trailers.
Mm-hmm.
I hid in there and I got dressed very slowly because there were some parts of the Doctor that were kind of... They weren't finalized.
Yeah.
They're prototypes to make my joints click.
And it sounds fantastic.
It sounds fantastic, but it slides off of my joints, so it doesn't work. But
not as much as you'd like it to.
Yeah, I was putting that on, so that added some extra time.
So you called me and asked me if I was at the haunt already.
Yes.
And I was like, what's going on? You sound frantic. Are you okay? And I'm like...
Because I was trying to get dressed before anybody saw me.
Like, it sounds like you're in trouble. I think I need to find you and, like, put you in a bubble or something.
I might have to.
Maybe once you start sliding.
Yes.
And then, so... Did I even tell you that that's what I was doing? Or did you?
No,
I just say, meet me in the back.
You said, I need your help. You need to meet me here.
Yeah, you said, I need your help. You need to meet me here. And I looked at her. I'm like, Matt needs me. I gotta go. Tossed my shit down and, like, booked it around.
And you ran in and saw the Doctor.
I did. And I was like, yes!
And so there was one cast member that I was trying to surprise. And she was overdoing her own makeup and everything. And I walk out from behind the costume pod, or from the old costume pod.
You walk out as quiet as possible for them joints.
Yeah, those joints gave me away.
Loud.
Like, I'm walking in here, and I'm like, there's no sneaking in this.
There's no sneaking unless somebody carries you.
And so I'm just kind of like taking small steps. So instead of hearing, you hear. So it works still. But I come out and I literally hear, as I'm walking through this like rows of our cast, I hear everyone behind me being like, "Who the fuck is that?
Everyone
He's scary. I don't like that."
Everyone
coming from a bunch of haunters.
Yeah.
Everyone freaked the fuck out over it.
Nobody knew it was me. I don't think Janelle knew it was me. Janelle just kind of looked at me and like,
is that one of ours? Where did that come from?
I think Becky caught on that it was me very quick. I think Rich didn't care.
Well, you had Ian take Marionette's original mask to said cast member.
I forgot about that, yeah. So I used the old mask as kind of like a calling card. And the whole thing was like Marionette is in a feud with this other character. So I had Ian take the mask to the other actor.
Right.
Because he is intimately involved with her.
Yes.
And so I knew he could sneak it in front of her easier than most.
Right.
And so what he proceeds to do as I'm walking that direction, I'm watching him and making sure that I'm not moving so I don't click. And he goes up, I think, if I remember this correctly, he goes and gives her a kiss on the cheek and sets it in front of her.
He sets it right on her mirror.
Yeah,
like,
right in front of her, but he gives her a kiss on the cheek, or she gives him a kiss on the cheek or something to turn her head.
He kissed her on the cheek so she would turn to look at him, and he
And
slid it in
slid
there.
it in there.
And then she turned around.
She turns around, she just goes, "Oh my god!" And then I walk in, and with the doctor's voice, I ask, "Where's Lily?"
And she turns around and starts screaming out of joy, and it was the greatest thing ever.
Because she didn't know that I was bringing out the doctor that night. So we had been planning for like a year that we were going to have this big old feud going on.
Oh, yeah.
And instead, it kind of fell by the wayside. Mostly my fault. My life kind of crashed and burned.
You had a lot of personal things going on at the time.
So, but that was mostly my fault, but we were still going to finish it out. She didn't know that this was the night that I was going to bring him out because we had planned for next week for me to bring him out. So I brought him out a week early just to surprise her.
And it was also a surprise for her birthday, too.
Yes. The day of that we had planned for us to collide was the day of her birthday.
Right.
That was the planned day.
But you went ahead and did it a week early as an extra surprise.
Yes.
Which played out beautifully.
So, we could stop the whole stroke my ego part of this. This was supposed to be getting to know you guys. So, what is one of probably, I'd say, your most memorable, favorite character and or scare?
I'm going to do both. But I'm going to do two characters.
Okay.
The first character that I ever played was a zombie named Percy. His full name was Percival. The backstory for Percy was I got bit, and I was to stop the process of turning, I shot myself in the head. Well,
This was in Zombie City, correct?
This was in Zombie City. I did not kill myself. I killed the part of the brain that would cause me to attack people and eat their brains. So I was still kind of vocal. I never said any words. And I could function like a normal person almost, except I stumbled and everything.
And he grumbled.
And I grumbled. I did grumble. I could use guns and everything else.
Yeah.
Well, that was my very first season, and I took over that character from somebody else that was that character. Well, they weren't there, and they hadn't been there for a couple weekends, and slowly that character became mine. And the next couple seasons, I built that character's story up, and he evolved. That's probably one of my top characters. My second favorite character is my clown, whose name is Hiemer, and he was in Darkness Falls when Clown Town was still a part of Darkness Falls. It no longer is at the moment. Hopefully it comes back, because that's my home. I was my clown, and we had this drunk group. You get the drunk groups that come through all the time.
Yes.
Always.
All the time.
Like, I thought it was especially bad at the place that shall not be named because it was around bars. And it was worse than most.
Worse than most, definitely.
But you still get a fair amount, no matter where you go.
Oh, yeah. Well, this group, it was about eight or six people in this group. Well, the first two in the group was this couple. This guy's girlfriend was plastered. And I mean plastered. She could not hold herself up. Plastered. She was leaning on him for support.
He was a
he
crutch.
was her personal crutch. Well, we had an ice cream van in there, and, to stall for time to help get the group, the scene behind me to get their group through, I would stall for time. I was the big scare at that point because our other clown, he knew he was better as a distraction, so we bounced off each other a lot. Well, I'm stalling for time, so at this point, I'm no longer scaring you, I'm entertaining you.
Yeah.
So, my bit was, so which one of you do I get to turn into ice cream? If I can get the back of my van open. I've got one of those nice industrial-sized blenders that can fit a person in. She offered herself up. But in the process of offering herself up, she was like, I gotta pee. And I'm like, you got a perfectly good bathroom right there, just pee in your pants. Okay.
We're gonna put out there that she did not have on regular colored pants.
No.
She had on like those light gray pants.
Them light gray leggings that you can see any bit of moisture on.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. Kind of did the cross of the legs, peed. I'm warm. Now I'm cold. Her boyfriend was like, you can take her home. I was like, you brought it, you take it. I know. You take that home. That is all you. No, thank you. I don't want any part of that.
I hope you have a towel in your car.
I hope your car is water resistant. Because they were close enough to the end that by the time they got out, I don't think they had tickets for anything else. But if they did, it might have helped dry it before they got back to the car. But I don't know. The best scare that I've had, because it was the easiest. I was like, just pee.
Just do it.
Just pee.
Just do it.
And she did it. And I'm like, how drunk can one get to actually listen to these instructions?
But see, and that's
I
the
can
thing.
challenge that.
Well,
That's
yeah,
the thing
you.
with haunt actors is we can get them to do just about anything we want them to.
Yeah.
Because they're in our world, so we
We
can
control
tell them
your
to
house.
do just about anything.
Unless they're especially defiant, but even
Yes.
sometimes you can break that.
Right.
A lot of times you can break that just by, and we're going into like just tips now. A lot of times you can break that just by like, for a split second, just not being the scary guy.
Yeah.
And be their friend.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've basically just invited them into the world. They're in.
They're in.
Right.
And they're
So,
stuck.
They're
So
good.
now that you're friends, you can just turn on them.
Exactly.
Uh,
And we're like, whoa, wait a minute, what?
And it's very easy for me to do this as me. This is going to be very confusing for some people. The character, me.
Yes.
Mad Me.
Mad Me.
Mad Me, as I'll call him. It's very easy to do that as Mad Me because he has multiple personalities. So I can be your friend with one personality and then be your enemy with another.
Exactly.
But your turn.
Me, what am I doing?
Your favorite character
Favorite
and
character
and or scare.
Scare. Oh, goodness.
Ooh. The one that you did with your brother that you got the approval from the one haunt.
Which one?
The Exorcist scene kind of thing that you all had going, that you all built.
I don't even remember.
Or you fought your brother on the table.
You can.
Oh, yeah!
Okay, I was about to say you can opt out if you don't want to do it.
Okay, so I was about 9 or 10. Still tiny. I mean, I'm not that much bigger now. But
compared to then.
compared to then. So, I don't play a victim. I
Yeah.
never have. I am...
I have. It's actually fun to be the victim when you're a dude.
It is.
Especially if you can get your abuser to be a woman.
Yes.
Because nobody
That's how this
It's a
past
total
year was for
mind
me. Because I had, this past year, I was in the diner, and I was the one that shoved Sam into an industrial-sized freezer.
Yeah.
And nobody expects that. So they're like, oh no.
Oh, shit.
But, so, I'm 9 or 10, and I'm still pretty small. My brothers are huge. They're
They're all
6'4", 250 pounds. All of them.
And it's not fat, it's
It's muscle. So, and I don't play victim. I've played victim once, and it was for JP, and it was for one of our happy birthday videos that we did, and I scared the guy that did the video,
Mr. Matt Clayton.
He was like, I have to step outside. Whoever gets this video is going to be fucked up. And I was like, oh. So we had a church scene or an altar scene, and there's fake dead bodies. He had rigged it up to where it would squirt blood if you hit it a certain way. So he acted as the aggressor at first. So he would I would be over in the corner, kind of curled up, and they'd be like, okay, and he would be yelling and screaming at me, and they would get in enough that I could get behind them, and I would kind of follow them. And I would...
You didn't do the hand trick, did you?
No.
Okay.
And I would... Of course, it was a touch haunt. So I was able to, push past them.
I'm a fan of touch haunts.
Yes.
Not a lot of people
They're my
are.
favorite.
Touch haunts are my favorite. They
I
are amazing.
love them. I understand that there's a place without them.
Yes.
But I do love them. I love to work them. I especially love to go through them.
Yes.
Yes.
Those are my favorite to go through.
And it's especially fun when you're a hotel guy. Because then people just want to fuck you up.
Yes.
See, the thing is, too, when they know you well enough, they'll just fuck you up. And it's great.
Exactly.
And my notoriety from hotel has helped that happen.
Yes.
So, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
So I, kind of snarl and push through them, little gremlin. And I kind of get back onto the first pew because we got 3 or 4 in there. couple rows. Yeah. And my brother comes at me with, a fake knife. And I jump on him. Like, full-fledged, feet and hands both, on him, onto the altar, and, like, we scramble around. And I throw him. Like, we roll off. And, like, I make this god-awful noise. Like, I'm tearing out parts and stuff. And he hits this body, and it squirts blood everywhere. And I come up just coated. Nice. And they're like, oh my god! And I run out. Like, that's got to be my favorite, because my brother designed it. Yeah. So, like, it was really cool. So, it was interesting.
I really enjoy that story.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites of yours.
When I first went to Asylum, I had not been haunting probably 3 or 4 years. Because prior to that, I had lost my brother, the one that I went with originally. And
the brother that you had in the story, was that brother?
Yes. Okay. He was the one that got me into it. And I didn't feel it. I had no home.
The spark had died.
It was gone.
I've almost run into that situation. Not from losing somebody, but I have lost the spark.
Right. So, when I went to Asylum, I went with someone else just for support. And I'm sitting out in the parking lot in the dark. Imagine that. And there are 7 people that come out of nowhere in the dark. And I hear my name. It was Mr. John.
Of course.
That said my name. And I was like, oh. All 7 of them surround me. And Rich comes up. He goes, you need to come be a creepy person with us. Come back next weekend and do an audition. I was like, okay.
What year is this?
That was 2015.
Okay. Yep. That was the first year I was Gribbins.
2014 is when I started at Asylum. She started a year after me.
So I go back, and I almost chickened out. And I told Rich, I was like, I don't think I want to do it anymore. And he was like, nope. And shoves me in there in front of everybody else that was in line in front of me. I mean, he already had a spot picked out for me. So he was like a kid in a candy store. Because they asked me to scream inside of this building. And that was a horrible idea because it's a metal building. It's exterminate.
Yeah.
The acoustics in there are not friendly on the ears.
So
I don't get a lot of chances to go in there because I'm not Pogo.
Well, it's where the it's not in exterminate. It's the princess bodies.
The princess bodies.
I get a chance to go in there.
That acoustics.
That acoustics.
I love that one.
Oh yes.
He put me on our zip line, which is by far my favorite ever. My very first scare at Asylum on the zip line was this guy. He had to be 6'5", and his girlfriend was like my size. So.
Height difference.
He was the guy that comes through. Oh, I'm not afraid of anything. If anything jumps out, I'm gonna hit it. You have those. And he comes through the voodoo in front of our scene, and I fly over, and I kid you not, he hits his knees, does the Home Alone face, and goes, "Oh my God, please don't eat me!" I could not keep a straight face. I was rolling. His girlfriend had to drag him out. It was great.
He lost it. It was beautiful.
And then he had Pete right after me. So it was fantastic.
It went from her to Pete, and he was gone.
You hear Pete going, "Are you messing with my witch?" And that chainsaw. Oh, he screamed like a little girl. It was fantastic.
So we're almost out of time. We're running up on like 35 minutes right now.
Oh.
Ish. We're going to continue on the podcast, but there's one more thing I want to do on the episode first.
Okay.
And that is, how was this year for you? How was this year, and do you have any highlights?
This year was pretty different, especially for me, because I've never been at the end of any of our attractions.
You were Chase Out.
I was the very end of Darkness this year, and it was a big change. I enjoyed it, but for like the first half of the season, I was kind of lost, and I felt like I was losing the spark for the industry, because I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this very well. And then as the season went on from halfway point the rest of the way through, I was like, yeah, I got this. I can do this. And then there were a couple nights where I got to run the chainsaw and step in for our chainsaw guy, Robbie, because he was either running out to go get food or getting something for...
I've seen him out there. I know what he does. I know what he does. He's just out there wasting time. Energy drinks.
Or getting something for Aaron. And so, I would run it because...
Way to make me seem like an asshole.
Becky, only having the one chainsaw guy, Becky I asked Becky, I was like, well, I know how to run it. Can I run it? And Becky had approved it. And I was like, okay, Robbie, here's the deal. Anytime you need to go out there, leave the chainsaw with me, so we still have the chainsaw, and we can have that scare. And I got to run the chainsaw, and I think that was probably the highlight for me, was getting to start running the chainsaw and learning from Robbie, because I really enjoy it. It's not up there with my clown, which is my favorite, but it's a close second. I love the chainsaw and getting to run it and getting the screams out of people. It is a beautiful thing.
Harley?
I wasn't in the air this year, which kind of upset me a little bit, but I get it, and we didn't have time to move it. Not a big deal. The scene was different, but of course, you find ways when you're a haunter.
Oh yeah.
This past summer, I lost my grandmother, which was really hard because she was my mother figure. So
this season was very much needed.
I was kind of lost, really lost. I asked them to put me back in Darkness because I know Janelle wanted me in ZC really bad. I know she did. I love ZC, but Darkness was home, and they obliged by putting me back in the back of Darkness.
The furthest point away from the hive.
Yeah.
Didn't find that out till almost the end of the season.
I got to actually work with Skeeter this year, which was fantastic.
I love Skeeter.
I've never worked that closely with him before, but it was great. Actually had a volunteer that kind of brought that spark back. He came to volunteer because we didn't have that. It was on our haunt night.
It was our industry night.
Yeah, our industry night.
The industry night was great.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay. Quick side note. Really quick. Us in line thought that was going to be one of the worst nights for us because we're working for haunters. We're not going to get any chases.
Exactly.
I got a chase.
Yes.
I did it. That was great.
Do you know who it was?
Yeah, I know who it was, but I'm not going to call him out.
Where were they from?
Fear Fair.
Fear Fair? Ooh.
Oh, was it the new one? Was it the baby?
I will not say. I don't want to call him out. He's a great guy, though.
Well, I mean, you can tell us after the episode and
I
after
think I
the
know what
podcast.
you're talking about. So, I got to work with a volunteer. I appreciate Becky putting him with me because that, shows a lot of trust in me, personally. But I watched him fall in love with the haunt industry.
Kind of like my elementary school.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it just, watching him get so excited, I'd be like, hey, there's another group coming through. And he's like, oh, I have to get ready. And I'm like, I needed that. I needed that so much. And after that, he decided, him and one of his other friends that was put with them, they decided to come back and finish the season.
Yeah, they finished
it
out.
What are we talking about?
They finished it out pretty strong, too.
And they were really good.
Because I remember because I went in that scene towards the end of the season, and I'm never one to just kind of be like, this is what I'm doing. I come in and I say, what do you do? What do you want?
Right.
I don't care how much experience I have versus you. This is your scene. What do you want me to do?
How does it work?
And one of them was like, shock me. Kill me.
That was the volunteer that worked
That was the volunteer that worked with him.
Like, the volunteer that worked with her, he ended up coming back for the rest of the season, and he finished out the season in Exterminate.
He volunteered to go into Exterminate.
And I give him
was like, God love you, man. You're wonderful.
Exterminate is pretty brutal. I've been in there for an entire season. Yeah. I can't go back. I mean, I love it in there. I love getting to be a clown in there, but it's...
Okay, I'll finish out with mine. We'll close out, and we'll go to the podcast. So if people want to keep hearing what we're talking about, they can keep hearing.
They can keep listening.
So, obviously, this was a huge change for me this year, this past year. And it sounds like we all three had issues.
Yes.
So, like I already said, I didn't want to leave hotel. I wanted to stay. That was home. That's why I said, welcome home all the time. That was my home. And when I made the decision to leave, I was torn apart. Like, it was almost like I was going to just not haunt anymore. I knew I was going to, but I didn't want to.
Right.
And Aiden had brought me into Asylum the year before for their last weekend. and had me do line entertainment. Rich let me do line entertainment. Then, because it was the end of the year, he knew I had experience, and he didn't care because it's the end of the year.
It was the last weekend of the season.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It didn't matter. So, I come to him, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. I did it last year, I want to do it now. And the whole time, like, just being brutally honest here, and there's some people that might not like the fact that I'm going to say this, but just being brutally honest, the beginning of the year, every day I showed up, in the back of my head, it was like, this is not right. I do not belong here. This is not where I'm supposed to be.
This is not home.
This isn't home. And I will say that the people would become family, but at the beginning, I was saying this is not home, this is not family, that this isn't right, I shouldn't be here, but I kept pushing through.
Because I know me and you talked about that a couple times when I came over, before season started, even after season started, and it was beating you up pretty bad.
Yeah, it just didn't feel right. The whole transition period. What started helping me the most was, for one, I started hitting a stride, and for two, the crew that I had. So, working line at Asylum is a little different than when you work for a haunt, because usually the haunts are kind of close-knit, like they'll intermingle between each other.
Right.
But they're pretty close-knit, and like you're either your darkness, your ZC, and it's kind of like gang warfare. But friendly,
always.
friendly gang warfare.
Always.
It's always been friendly, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
But when you're in line,
You're kind of your own pod.
yeah, we're our own, and we're very few.
Yes.
Well, you guys will have like 30 people.
There's how many of you? 6?
5 or 6. And out of the 6, I think there was 4 of us that were consistent this year, and that's nothing against the 2 that weren't.
Right.
It's just
Personal things come up.
yeah, things would come up. Us 4 were there most of the time.
Right.
And it was a fantastic crew. Pogo, love him
He's my favorite.
so much. Lassiter
Yes.
was another huge.
Who also does
influence on
makeup.
me. Yes.
Yes, he does.
He did my makeup.
Yes.
And
Every night.
Aiden, who's the one that brought me into things. Kat is an old
I
friend of
love
mine.
her so much.
And then
Catch a
Shane.
friend from the place that shall not be named.
Yes.
So,
And then Shane, who
Shane. I love
like nobody knows what his real face looks
I
like.
know, right?
I do.
I mean,
do.
I know what his real face looks like,
I
and so
do.
does she, but most
Only
people
by default.
don't.
But having
He
that
has many faces, though.
He does.
Like, that's-
having that
Very many.
fantastic crew behind me helped a lot. And then one day, I think it was Pogo and Lassiter together came up to me and they were like, "It's been fantastic working with you." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then there was the moment where things finally tipped completely over. Like, I'm in. I love it here. I don't think he even knows that he did this, but I showed up early one day because I usually show up early. I like to show up early.
You usually ride with Lassiter.
And then
So-
I walked into the makeup pod and Rich was sitting there. And he's just kind of laid back in his chair. Kind
like
of
he always does.
And he looks at me, unsolicited. I hadn't said anything. He just looks at me and he goes, "I'm really glad you decided to come here." And I felt so fucking warm. This was amazing. Like, I was like, "Oh my god, Dad loves me."
Yes.
And so that was kind of the moment everything turned for me. There were so many like good scares that I had this year. Well, honestly, one of my favorites, if I had to pick one, I'm gonna pick 2 because there's 2 contending for different reasons. One,
the car.
no, but that's up there. Just to make that real fast, me and Pogo jumped in someone's car.
It was great.
And
If anybody got video of that, I want it.
they didn't.
Yes, I want video of this.
But so I'll roll one of them into kind of like 2 because I did the same thing for both of them. It's a very powerful feeling when you can stare at somebody from probably about literally 40 feet, maybe 50 feet away, and they will not move.
And they're so unnerved that they just
And so
don't
I
move.
crouched down to the ground, and they started to cower. And then they slowly inched their way up towards me. They're maybe 35 feet from me now.
Slow inch.
And so I stand up and start walking towards them, and they book it. And I run all the way down the midway, catching up to them, because they don't expect me to run as fast as I do. I blow my muscles out doing it, but I do it. And I chase them, and I keep running, and I go into the parking lot, and one of them goes down the road, and I start heading down the road. I don't go all the way down the road. This guy does. And I come back in, and I see this mom on her phone just being like, "You're coming back here. You're coming." And I'm just like, oh.
I did that! Yay!
And then,
That's beautiful.
And then another one, I was just staring down 3 girls that were sitting by the porta pots. They really had to pee. And
Did you tell him to go in the blue?
no, because I was just staring them down. I was one of the personalities that didn't talk.
Oh.
And so I was literally like from here to the camera, probably. I was probably about that close. Maybe they were a little bit further away. And I'm just staring them down and having fun because they're freaking out because I'm just staring at them and they refuse to use the porta pots while I'm looking.
I mean, it's not like you can see in the
There's
porta
a door.
pots.
And then I see the security guy walking up, and he loves to fuck with people. And everything clicked for me in an instant. I was like, he's about to open these girls wide open for me. Mm-hmm. I love you. And he walks up right behind them as all 3 of them are staring at me, and he just goes, and they all freak out and turn around, and I run full force towards them. I'm only like 10 feet away. And I'm running full force towards them. These 3 girls turn and look at me. I'm like this close to them by this point. They all 3 scream and scatter. And I slowly start to herd them back together towards the parking lot. I get them all in the parking lot, and I like yell at them, and all 3 of them drop to their knees, cry, and pee.
Yes!
That's beautiful.
And I leave them alone. And then my last one, I bring it up because it was my last scare of the season. And I have a really bad track record for, like, I always want my last scare to be great. Everybody does.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of a given.
And then I always run into the fact that, like, the last group of the season was just fucking terrible. I had a terrible time with them, and I ended the season badly. I'm talking with somebody, a friend of mine, who had just gone through, and I look from probably over 100 feet away, way over 100 feet away. This girl run from the porta pot into the parking lot. And mid-conversation, I just start running. And security's staring at me, and they're like, she's really far. And I go, I don't care how far she is. I'm going to try to catch up. It's the end of the year. And I run, and I run, and I run as fast as I can. And I turn the corner, I'm like, where is she? And she's getting in the car. So I run up to the car, and she doesn't hear me coming, because sometimes I can be pretty light-footed. And she turns around because somebody points that I'm running towards her.
Oh, no.
By the time that she turns around, I'm literally this close to her. She turns, looks at me, screams, and falls into her car. And I turn around, I look at the security guard, and I go, I'm done. That's the end of season.
We're done.
I don't want to interact with anybody else. That was great.
That's beautiful.
That's it.
And so I walked to the back, took my makeup off, and I was like, I'm proud. But that's it. And we're running along.
It's a getting to know us episode.
Right.
That's how it was the first season too. But we'll continue on maybe a little bit longer into the podcast. We might make it a shorter podcast just to balance out.
Right.
But
That's
glad
it.
to be back.
It's good to be here.
Yes.
Shaved my head. Well, not anymore.
Not
It's
anymore.
growing back now.
It's growing back.
It was
now.
all gone.
He was slick bald.
But people knew me with long hair. But as I always said, we'll bring it back. I ain't chugging it this time.
No.
I learned my
That's
lesson.
bad. That's
He
bad.
learned his lesson.
Especially with Stone, because it's like 3 times as strong as that other stuff. But as always, stay spooky, my friends.
Stay spooky.
All right.